3, chapter 3, and we had completed till verse 16, so we will do 17 onwards. But I'll give you a background of what has been happening so far. We are doing the stories of Sri Krishna in small excerpts. Means what we are just doing a one-liner of all his different stories. And so far we have come to a point where the war is over and Sri Krishna has, along with all other kings and of the region, have established Yudhishthir over there as the regent, as basically a Maharaja in Hastinapur. So this is what has happened so far, and Sri Krishna has been participating in that particular assembly, and the gods have also come over there. They are also visiting, but hardly anybody recognizes Sri Krishna as the grand divinity, the supreme divine consciousness, God Almighty or whatever. Then nobody recognizes him because he behaves exactly like an ordinary person. So from there onwards we are going to continue and we will check up on verse 17 now. So we are doing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 3, and this is verse 17. The embryo of Puru's descendant, begotten by the great hero Abhimanyu in the womb of Uttara. His wife was burnt by the weapon of the son of Drona, but later he was again protected by the Lord. Now here we are talking about King Parikshit, Abhimanyu's son. Abhimanyu, by the way, lost his life in the Chakravyuh that happened in the Kurukshetra. I am sure you know this story very well. So Abhimanyu lost his life over there. Meanwhile, his wife was pregnant at that point in time, and she was under pressure from the various sources which came to attack her womb. This is, you will find that Ashwathama, if you remember, had fired the weapon. This weapon was destructive. It was supposed to kill all the entire future generation of the Yadus. And it destroyed a lot of people at that point in time, all the soldiers and all that. And it came to harm the womb of Uttara. And that is a time Sri Krishna covers the womb and saves the child. That is how Parikshit was given to this world. And Parikshit is the one because of whom we are doing this particular scripture. So Srimad Bhagavatam is because Parikshit is now at the last end of his life, and in front of him is Sukdev. He is sitting over there at the banks of the river, and he is talking about all the stories of the Lord, of all the different avatars that are there. So we have just started these episodes. Today we are doing a small roundup of Sri Krishna's avatars, how the avatar which came in this world and behaved like an ordinary person. Now I want you to understand in this verse what is being mentioned. In the previous verses it was mentioned that nobody recognized Sri Krishna in his avatar anywhere. Correct? This is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In a similar fashion, when the gods came to visit Yudhishthir's coronation ceremony, at that time also they looked at Sri Krishna and they said, "Oh, he is such a handsome person." And they believed him to be an ordinary mortal. The gods themselves were not in a position to recognize Sri Krishna. And when Uttara's womb was under attack, it is he who saved Parikshit in the womb. But unfortunately, nobody comes to know about it. When the Lord performs these actions, they are done in a very surreptitious manner without anybody coming to know that he is performing these actions. This is a very common phenomenon in your life as well. You will find that Human beings have a wonderful life, but they are always thinking about all the negative things in the world. Isn't it? When you are in a position, like say for example, you are born in a particular family, you are looking at the person who is rich and mighty and has achieved something in life, and you are thinking, I wish I was over there. There is nobody in this world who is satisfied with the life that they have. It takes a long time for somebody to realize, and that is the reason why we cannot understand the importance of our own life. It is a God-given gift to you. We should consider our own life as a gift. You are in that position for a reason. If you were to be in somebody else's position, it is not possible. Please understand this. The rich and the mighty. Think about it. A king of a country. Do you think he can walk on the streets like a common man? He can eat a burger. He can go to a regular restaurant and order some idli, dosas and all that. You think he can do that? I doubt it. And then he is always thinking how more rich he can become. He looks at all the super rich people and he thinks how he can become more richer than what he is today. And those who are in the position today of being rich, they cannot stay rich for a long time. You go and see this Forbes list and all. Every year the names keep on changing. Some people establish an organization. They want to become something else. Doesn't work. Your valuation becomes zero. There used to be a company called Yahoo. It was on a streaking path and suddenly it was nowhere. There was a person called Jack Ma. He is nowhere today. There were great people in the past. They are nowhere today. I hope you get this point. But nobody enjoys their own life. And we do not ever acknowledge God for what He has given us. When God gave this life to Parikshit, do you think anybody even knew about it? Nobody has any idea how God gives gifts to everybody. So your life, you have to consider it as worthwhile. Please do not consider it as worthless. And don't try to aim for something which is outside your purview. Think like that. Alright? The Supreme Lord induced the son of Dharma to perform these 3 horse sacrifices, and Maharaj Yudhishthir constantly followed the Krishna, protected and enjoyed the earth assisted by his younger brother. So here we are listening about Yudhishthir when he took over as the king of the land. And when he did that, he had to perform 2 yagyas. One is the Rajasuya Yagya, which we are not discussing. The second one is called Ashwamedha Yagya. Ashwamedha Yagya is the one where you send out horses in all the directions. These are white horses accompanied by the commanders in chiefs, and they follow the horse wherever it goes. And if the horse enters a certain kingdom, the king has a choice of stopping that horse and challenging the commander-in-chief over there. And this way, Yudhishthir was able to capture lands right across Southeast Asia. Right across Southeast Asia. You may wonder whether how is it possible? I can only think of land up to say, Assam or the Northeast. No. If you were to go today to Laos, Cambodia, you go to Bangkok, you go to any of those lands over there, you go to Malaysia, you go up to Indonesia, you will find that even Indonesia today, right up to that end, and from here up to Afghanistan and Iran, Iraq, Earlier it was called Persia. The entire land belonged to this Kuru king, okay, Yudhishthir. And his commander-in-chief were there. So on this side, that is on the eastern side, Arjuna went and captured the lands right up to Indonesia. That is why today, even if you go to Jogjakarta, a place which is one of the islands of Indonesia, you will still find remnants of the great kings from the past who have put up very beautiful temples right up to Indonesia. So this way the land was captured and the entire, and without any bloodshed, by the way. Most of the people gave it because they thought that it is no point in arguing with such a great leader. Simultaneously, Sri Krishna enjoyed the life in the city of Dwarka, strictly in conformity with the Vedic customs of society. He was situated in detachment and knowledge as enunciated by the Sankhya system of philosophy. Now here we will find that Sri Krishna's life by itself is really very, very worth giving an example to. That means he led a life which was in a detached condition. A person should always have knowledge. Please understand one thing very clearly. Knowledge is a very, very important of everybody's life. Alright? You may be an old person, or you may be a young person. You have to gather knowledge constantly. But it is not necessary to exhibit that knowledge to the world. Please do not go and boast and say that I know this, I know this, I know this. Human beings love to talk to the world and saying that, oh, I know all these things. Don't. It is not good. You have to be humble. Knowledge is for your own growth. Keep the knowledge to yourself. Understand one thing. Sri Krishna was married to 16,108 wives. How many? 16,108 wives. I want you to understand this very clearly. Was he detached? 100%. It's given over here. Conformity with Vedic customs of the society. That means you have to be truthful to your wife and the society also. If you are having 16,108 wives, how can you be truthful? Isn't that a question you can ask? Well, the answer is very much like this. Truthfulness doesn't mean the material worldly truth. Okay? Think in the previous verse it was given that Satyabhama insisted that her husband gets the Parijata plant from the heavens of Indra. Now imagine you have 10 wives. Just imagine. I mean, imagination is not a problem, you can imagine. If one wife of yours says these words, get me this impossible thing, and if you get it, the 9 other wives are going to get upset. You think that is going to be working properly? So please understand, there is always a way. Knowledge makes you silent. What is the knowledge over here? The knowledge over here is everybody is jealous. Everybody has their own ego. When you know that the other person is jealous, has an ego, has a big problem in life, your job is not to open your mouth and make that thing worst. Is that understood? You have to keep everything in compartments. And every house in Dwarka, that means every palace, had an independent wife over there with 10 sons and 1 daughter, if you remember yesterday's verses. Do you think the sons and the daughters of all the wives together would not have had jealousy? Animosity? 100% they will have. If there is a kingdom of Hastinapur where two brothers can't stay with each other, I hope you get the point. Everybody finds faults with the other person. So if you are a very great person, that means like Sri Krishna's personality, then you will follow the Vedic tradition. You know what the Vedas speak. And you have to be in a detached condition. Don't get attached to anybody or anything. Because the moment you are attached to anybody, any person or thing, you are going to get into very big trouble. If Sri Krishna was attached to Rukmini, Satyabhama and every other queen over there would have got very much upset, isn't it? Don't you think so? You remember how Ramayana started? Or do I have to repeat it for you? The queen, Kaikai, she insisted that her son become the king. Do you remember Ramayana's story? If it can happen in Ram's life, Shri Ram's life, what are you? An ordinary mortal. So please understand this very carefully. The way you describe your life, you have to live in a complete detached condition. Otherwise, you are going to get into trouble. Always have knowledge. The knowledge of the real and the unreal. Everything is unreal. You don't have to tell truth or you don't have to tell lies also. Because both are unreal. So when you follow the Vedic norms, you will understand in the Sankhya philosophy, knowledge should make you silent. It's a very, very important lesson. So don't keep on blabbering away to glory. And you don't have to talk about all your life that you are doing, whether you are eating, drinking, sleeping, doing this, doing that. Please you don't have to discuss anything with anybody. Knowledge is important. So I hope you got that. He was there in the transcendental body, the residence of the fortune of the goddess of fortune, and his usual gentle and sweetly smiling face, his nectarian words and his flawless character. Verse 21, the Lord enjoyed his pastime both in this world and in the other worlds, that is the higher planets, specifically in the association of the Yadu dynasty. At leisure hours offered by night, he enjoyed the friendship of conjugal love with women. So now think like this. Sri Krishna was leading an ordinary life for every wife of his. Are you getting what I am saying? With Rukmini, he could not have done any partiality the way you would have done with somebody else. He had to be equal to everybody. Nobody can be equal, including God Almighty. So there is always going to be the plus and minus in every world. But you have to keep that in a distant way. Always gentle. Always gentle and sweetly smiling. Even if you are in the worst case scenario, your boss might have given you a big firing also. Doesn't matter. There is no harm in just keeping a smiling face. Krishna always maintained a smiling face, come whatever may happen to him. Because it is important to do so. And his flawless character. There was no way in which you could point fingers at him. You know what is the meaning of the word Krishna? Krishna means secret. What secret are we talking about? Well, he used to keep his own secrets. He is not going to discuss with anybody. There is no need. Also, he has his own ways of doing things. Alright. So he enjoyed his pastimes in this world. So during the morning times, he was there with his family and his friends and his courtiers and his kingdom people of the kingdom, and he was behaving like a regent, like a king, And he lived like that. See, when you are a particular person, you have to portray that particular image always. You can't be behaving like a cheap person. Think like that. If you are a king, you have to behave like a king. What you do behind the doors is your problem, because that is not what the world knows. But when you are facing the world, you have to be that person. Okay? Now, in India, we have a great president today. Her name is President Murmu. She is a gentle lady. You will be amazed to know how her life has been. In the last 10 years of her life, in 2011 and 12, she lost her first son. 2012, she lost her second son. Some accident or something. 2014, she lost her husband. Then she lost her sister and brother and all that. So in her family, there have been a series of deaths. Now she has only one daughter. When she has only one daughter, today she is the President of India. President of India is a very, very senior most position in India. She is the leader, like the king, like the King of England, she is that, like that. The Prime Minister is separate. He is the person who runs the administration. But the President is the one who rules the country, actually. You will see this lady who comes from a village, absolutely a village. Okay? In the most respectable manner. She is an example that sets up apart in this world how a woman to be a leader can be such a perfect person. So many tragedies, so many problems, no money, this, that, so many things are there in her life which hardly anybody knows about. She lost her entire family except for one daughter. Think on those lines. You cannot show to the public how bad you are in, how bad a condition you are in. You have to always remember that you are the face of the organization, the face of the country, or the face of this entire world. And behave in that manner. Sri Krishna behaved in a very, very gentle manner. He never showed himself as some great person and, oh, I will do this. I am the king. I am the, Krishna himself. I can do this and I can. He never said a single word. He had to behave in a very incognito fashion. And during the day, he was in association with all the people of the Yadu dynasty. At leisure hours offered by night, he enjoyed this friendship of conjugal love with women. He had so many wives, and naturally he was there with them. So he behaved in this manner in this world. So always remember these words, that you have to be the perfect example of who you are in this world. Alright? And you have to, because understand one thing, you have to set the example to the world. Because the world follows always a great man. Isn't it written in the Bhagavad Gita? There is a verse over there where Sri Krishna says, I have to do this because everybody follows a great man. I was listening to this story of Grace Kelly, how she became Prince Rainer's wife and the different troubles that she had to go through, and yet she maintained her dignity till the very end. It is a very important lesson for all of us, that if you are married into a royalty, you are a royalty. Correct? So you are somebody in this world. You have to be truthful to who you are. Don't try to emulate somebody else. Understood? So you be yourself, and be your very good self. The Lord was thus engaged in household life for many, many years, but at last his detachment from ephemeral sex life was fully manifested. Verse 22, verse 23, every living entity is controlled by the supernatural force, and thus the sense enjoyment is also under the control of the supernatural force. No one therefore can put his faith in Lord Krishna's transcendental sense activities, but one who has become a devotee of the Lord by rendering devotional service. Now, human beings love to find faults. They will say, if Sri Krishna is such a great person, he is God himself, why was he indulging in sexual activities? Isn't it? Well, he was born as a human being on earth. When you take a human form, you are controlled by the sense enjoyments also. This natural, supernatural force and the sense enjoyments are a part of your being. So, though he was enjoying his life with his wife and the beautiful women in his world, but he was always in a state of detachment. People in our world, they create fake narratives. What are the fake narratives? Fake narratives are they wear orange color clothes, they wear yellow color clothes, they wear white color clothes, but they are the most lecherous people in the world. Think like that. It is not something that should be accepted. Here Sri Krishna was ordinary person. He behaved like an ordinary person. Though he was having his own personal life, but he behaved in a complete detached manner. There was no expectation from anybody. He expected the world to behave in the manner which he has created. And that is the reason why it is ultimate, the formula for happiness. The formula for happiness is be contented with where you are and what you are doing. Are you getting it? The more you are trying to achieve in your life, the more you are going to fall down. I am sure you know the story of that Swamiji who brought a cat. You know the story very well, isn't it? Think on those lines. Don't fall into the trap. So, he was living his life like a normal person, Sri Krishna, and yet he was in a complete detached state. Though he was performing all the actions which his body recommended, no one therefore, see, the thing which we have to understand is not to get biased by Sri Krishna's way of life. That is his way of life because he is fulfilling the demands of the world. But as a devotee, you have to see only the goodness in that. And that is why he says to become a devotee of the Lord by rendering devotional service unto him. Once upon a time, a great sage was made angry by the sporting activities of the princely descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasty, and thus as desired by the Lord, the sage cursed them. A few months passed, and then, bewildered by Krishna, all the descendants of the Vrishni and Andaka, who were incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhasa, while those who were eternal devotees of the Lord did not leave but remained in Dwarka. So here what happened is, this is a story from the end of Sri Krishna's life, when some sages had come to visit Sri Krishna in Dwarka. At that moment in time, the sons of Krishna, they were playing outside, and then they gave a rude reply to these sages. And the sages in turn cursed the entire Yaduvansh, that is the entire families. And that is the reason why in the end, the Yadus, they gathered together to go near Prabhasa. So those who are not the devotees of the Lord, they went all the way to that place. What does it tell you? all the descendants of Rishni, Bhoja and Andaka, who were incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhasa. So those who were demigods, they were born in Sri Krishna's life as relatives and as well as his own kith and kin. That is his own sons and daughters and everybody, they were there. All these demigods were born over there. Now when they were born, they never believed in Sri Krishna. No. Wasn't it mentioned in the previous verse that the demigods also had no idea that Sri Krishna was the Supreme Lord? So they never believed. So they were sent to Prabhasa, whereas the real devotee of Sri Krishna were left behind. Later on they were transported to Indraprastha. That's another place. So, after arriving there, all of them took bath with the water of this place of pilgrimage. They offered their respects to the forefathers, demigods and great sages and thus satisfied them. They gave cows to the Brahmanas in royal charities. The Brahmanas were not only given well-fed cows in charity but also gold coins, beddings, clothing, animal skin, seed, blanket, horses, elephant, girls and sufficient land for maintenance. So all these yadus, they went to Prabhasa. And Prabhasa is a very sacred lake. So there it is on the bank of Saraswati river, the old Saraswati river. Saraswati river is nowhere in the picture today because it's disappeared completely. So they went to that place and then they performed their dips in the river. When you do that, you are supposed to give charity to the Brahmins over there. Today's day and age, I don't know whom you can give charity to when you go and take a dip in the Ganga or any such place. But at least the holy people, you have to give something. Like it could be money, it could be food, it could be grains, it could be anything. It is offered. And even land and whatever that is there can be offered to these great sages or whoever they are. The knowers of Brahma for that matter. Thereafter they offered the Brahmanas highly delicious foodstuffs, first offered to Sri Krishna and offered their respectful obeisance. By touching their heads to the ground, they lived perfectly by protecting the cows and the Brahmanas. So even food was offered to them. Now all this was happening. Where? In Prabhasa. In Prabhasa, where everybody had gone for kind of a picnic kind of a situation, because that was going to be the end part of their life. They were all going to die over there. Alright? And that is the reason why they had to go over there. So we have come to the end of this chapter, chapter 3. And we can start with chapter 4 also. I think we will stop over here because it's a new chapter with a really good twist over there. So we will stop over here at chapter 3. Next time we will continue from chapter 4, that is Vidura approaches Maitreya.
Recording stopped.